For staying with us. The federal government has urged Nigerians, especially the youth, to maintain faith in President Bola Tinubu's administration and believe in its ability to elevate Nigeria to a desirable status. Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, made this appeal on Tuesday following his meeting with President Bola Tinubu at the State House in Abuja. His comment comes against the backdrop of plans and calls from some quarters to stage a protest against the government. The minister insists that there was no need for any protests. He also says the current administration is implementing interventions and measures to address the challenges in the country.
Mr. President has asked me to, again, inform Nigerians that he listens to them, especially the young people that are trying to protest. Mr. President is listening to them. He takes what they say seriously and is working assiduously to ensure that this country is good, not just for today, but also for the future. The issue of the planned protest, Mr. President does not see any need for that. He's asked them to shelve that plan. He's asked them to await government's response to all their pleas. He has listened to them, like I said, and a lot is happening. Only today, the National Assembly has expeditiously passed the new national minimum wage. You can see how the president is working. It was transmitted only yesterday. Today it has been passed. A lot of other interventions that the president has also put in place are also going to be looked at expeditiously in the interest of Nigeria. So there's no need for strike. The young people out there should listen to the president and allow the president more time to see to the realization of all the goodies he has for them.
Us via Zoom from the United States of America is convener Social Rehabilitation, Grace and Support Initiative, Oludari Marindoti. Good morning. Thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Thanks, everybody. Adam.
Right. When you look at the papers this morning, it's talking about this planned protest and the president has responded by pleading to Nigerians to perhaps give him more time to address this issue, which he says he has already started addressing, especially with the interventions that his government has been making over time, and that they will ensure that it gets to everyone necessary. Perhaps you need to talk to us about what you make of this protest, the timing, and the president's response.
Well, thank you. You know, this protest was always bound to happen. I believe the administration had worked a very long and dreary way to this place because, you know, they did this by, you know, failing to do two things. And it has nothing to do with the removal of subsidy, which has not been removed, or the floating of exchange rates. It is because the administration allowed the hunger to fester for too long, and then they have not done enough to explain what they are doing to the Nigerian people. You know, I have been on this program for so long, since last year, talking about this situation with hunger. And I think my exact words were that a hungry man is an angry man, and anger boils over. And if you let people stay hungry for too long, then your political opponents, they are not going to be the ones to instigate it. They will just look to grift off of it. And by letting the hunger go on for so long, and by not explaining in details, in simple, digestible terms, what you are doing for the people, you are gifting your opponents this opportunity to grift. And that is what is going on right now. You know, and the two things, like I said, the first thing about the hunger, thank God the presidency has shown some intellectual mobility in changing from the tweets where he said we should extricate ourselves from, you know, foreign food, to now allowing duty-free food. But these things are going to take time, and the people have been left hungry for so long. So now they are about to take to the streets. And also, so that one should have been done earlier. The first time I wrote it was 7 days after the president got inaugurated last year, that they should end food protectionism. Then, by not explaining what is going on with them, you know, they said they want the youth to have faith in the presidency. But if you want someone to have faith in you, you have to shoot at them straight from the shoulder. I don't mean shoot in terms of gun. I mean, like, you should talk to them straight, you know. It's like an expression, you know, straight from the shoulder, be forthright with them. We are talking about subsidy removal. Yes, the president announced that subsidy is gone, but the first direct evidence that subsidy is still being paid was released to us by Joe Ajero, I think sometime last week, because when he was talking about the reason he accepted 70,000, he said the presidency told him, allow me to increase the fuel price and then I can pay you 250. And he said no. So that is the first direct evidence. Now, this is regrettable because I believe this is what the administration should have come out, before trying to.
So are you saying the president's response or statement is coming a little too late?
It is coming a little too late because the protest has already started, being organized, and then it will be difficult for people to for them to stop it. This is one thing that I have feared since last year because I have seen the way our security operatives deal with protesters. It is obvious if you compare the way they deal with protesters in the United States or in the United Kingdom and the way our policemen and or our soldiers deal with protesters, you know that they are not adequately trained in managing protests. They don't have the strategy circling people, and they don't do it. So it is coming a little bit too late right now, and the protest is about to start. And I am very, very worried about it. Because what I think is responsible for majority of all these things is just the floating of the exchange rate. And the administration needs to let the people know that the double exchange rate is only benefiting the rich. They are the ones buying the dollar. When the administration said, they told us that they were spending $1.5 billion to keep the fake exchange rate. And even despite that, they are still unable to pay their bills. It is only the rich people that are benefiting from it. I have used this example before. Dangote got access to like 9 billion. If you went to Aboki to get that dollar, he would have probably used the same naira to get maybe a little bit around 5.5 billion. So when you look at it, these things, the administration needs to let the people know that by keeping this multiple exchange rate, that is why the government cannot invest in education, in health, in roads, and things that will give you good quality of life. So the administration needs to succeed in floating this exchange rate. A lower exchange rate is beneficiary for a production anticipating economy, because that means your goods are cheaper for people out there to buy. Every production development or export dependent economy like Korea and China, their central bank intervenes to keep their money low so that their goods can be competitive in the world market. And these are things that the administration needs to be talking to the youth about and encouraging their enterprise act and everything so that they will know that they are doing what is. They should get them on the same page. That is my point.
Okay, so looking at all you have said, there are also divergent views as to this protest going on, seeing the fact that during the October 2020 protest, the NSAS protest started just without notice. And it started on the heels of police brutality, and it's snowballed into different issues, and so it stayed for quite long. Many people believe that this protest is not necessary, while others believe it is necessary. In your own view, do you think this protest will bring out, if it holds, do you think it will bring out the needed outcome?
Well, Farid Zakaria, a popular presenter, gave a reason why protests fail. Our generation is not so strategically equipped. So the success rate of protests in this generation has dropped significantly compared to that of those of our fathers. And also, I don't expect this protest to bring out the desired change. 2020 protests led to the ending of SARS, but it did end police brutality. No, but we have not even been able to take stock and see that the protest did not achieve its aim. When you are talking about end bad governance, everybody is only focusing on the presidency. Is the president the only person in charge of the country? There are governors too, and So this protest, I don't expect it to yield the desired outcome. I am only worried about it because 2020 was a fight against oppression. Perceived oppression, because a lot of the people that were there probably never really had an intimate experience of oppression in a short time, probably maybe 10 years ago, and everybody came out to fight police oppression. This is a protest for survival. People are hungry, and that is palpable. The stomach, the hunger pangs every day. So you can't shoot them out of.
So if it's a protest for hunger, to end bad governance, will it change anything? Will it still end hunger in this country, because we have been talking about this for quite too long, and the fact that many people have been put on notice that a protest is coming on the 1st of August, doesn't it say something else?
Yeah, it is. It shows that it is being organized and they are, planning it. And what the protesters definitely need to know, and this was the same thing that I was saying during the 2020 ONSAS protest, that people thought maybe I was not in their support. I didn't support it because I felt like it was not strategic. They said they didn't want leaders, a lot of things. But what protesters need to know is that their right to swing their fist ends exactly at the point where my nose starts. So if there are people who want to take their children to the hospital, or their grandfather to the hospital, or their pregnant wife to the clinic, they should be allowed to go about their daily activities. Not that we should go and block roads or something. But I am worried because we are currently not equipped with what it takes to manage protest efficiently. And it is going to be easy for the enemies of this administration to try to, pour a little bit of gasoline on the fire that is already brewing. And, and it will be difficult for the administration to manage it. And any form of violence against the protesters is going to be a very, very bad image for an administration that is still struggling with its image with the Nigerian people. It is just a fact. The
but we are here now, Oludare, but we are here now because you have looked at the implication, but we are here now. Can the government stop these people from protesting? Yes, we have seen measures or steps being taken, the implementation of the new minimum wage, 70,000 naira, and some other steps being taken, the release of grains, also to state governments, also to perhaps just douse the tension and make people understand that government is making an effort. But can that really stop these people who have made up their minds that they are going to the streets? And earlier you mentioned that government should have done much more. What is the much more perhaps government can do right now as we speak to stop this protest from happening?
Well, yeah, the government needs to talk more. It's about talking. It's not about, the government has two people that talk for it. One is the didact, one is always in combat. Those things don't move the needle. You have to be able to interact with people and talk to them and be persistent about it and explain to them in details what you are doing and how it is going to benefit them. Let them know that you are saving
when we are
money
talking
so
about government, perhaps we need to be specific. Yes. Where are the subnationals in this conversation?
Exactly. That is part of why one of the distractions I think can also help douse the tension is for the presidency to start this whole restructuring that we have been talking about, because the subnationals are the major problem. The president has negotiated the 70,000 minimum wage, but there are some governors that still say they can't pay. And I don't believe one man in Abuja should also be negotiating minimum wage for a very diverse country, because 70,000 naira in Lagos does not have the same purchasing power parity in Ibadan, let alone Zamfara or Kano. So these subnationals need to be brought into the conversation and let the people know that these people are responsible for this, and that. Because the power is too centralized in the center, it is easy for PDP to act as if this is a protest against APC, whereas PDP also has good amount of governors that also have responsibilities to their people. So we can use this old structuring thing as a distraction to, change the conversation a little bit, take air out of the room, convey with the people. We might not be able to stop the protest, but we can try to ensure that it is managed without any incident, so that, yes, people can come out, you let them protest and you deflect it, and before, try to prevent the violence. Violence is the most difficult thing. Whatever the presidency is doing, a lot of it are good, but you need to explain this to the people. It is not enough for you to do right for your people. You also have to do right by your people. And the only way to do right by your people is to explain to them, to gain their consent. That is what doctors do. That is why they can convince you to let them cut you open, because they explained it to you. If they trick you into doing it, they would have done right for you, but they wouldn't have done right by you. So the administration needs to talk more. The communication of the administration, they need to up their game and talk with these people, talk on friendly, situations, on friendly media outlets. and get the people on board with what the government is doing. I have these conversations in my own personal, interactions, and when I give them the reasoning, the only thing they tell me is that this is not what the administration is telling us, because people are not looking at it from the point of view of this multiple exchange rate is only benefiting the rich. They just think the president will remove the multiple exchange rate and is making them suffer. When I told them that the president himself suffered a lot more loss than majority of Nigerian billionaires, they were surprised. But that is the truth. When he floated the exchange rates, if he had 5 billion, if he had 15 billion, he probably only have 5 billion right now. If you have 15,000, your money just lost value to like 5,000. So who lost more? It is the person that has the money. So that is to say, the president making this decision is a sacrifice that he is making, because he knows that will enable him to invest in the poor people. So he is taking from the rich and giving to the poor. And the poor masses need to know that is why we are now having this money to increase the money that your state gets. That is why we're having this money to give it for your primary health care. That is why we're having this money to build these roads that you are going to start enjoying very soon. If we go back into this multiple exchange rate, the rich will now start taking the money again, will start sequestering in their hands. You have to be able to say these things in these simple terms so that the Nigerian people can get on board, because nobody wants to be cheated. The rich and the elite have kept their proboscis in the pocket of Nigeria since the inception of the country, Nigeria. And this is the first attempt at liberating Nigeria from these things. But if you don't educate your people adequately, it is on you, and you would have been responsible for their despair.
Okay, so in all of this now, do you think Nigerians are ready? I ask because several groups have backed out of the protest, and the police say they are ready for anything that may happen. And if we're having these kinds of situations, how do you think this protest will be sustained? Remember, it's supposed to be for 10 days, from August the 1st to the 10th, for 10 days. How do we sustain that all through? I remember during the EndSARS protest, many people got queried at the office and lost their jobs because they couldn't get to the office. Do you think Nigerians are ready for this, and will it be sustainable for the whole 10 days?
I mean, it is about crisis management and not escalating. It is always the administration's attempt to, curtail it that often leads to escalation in most protests. There is no protester. Everybody has a right to protest. But nobody has a right to block a road. So protesting in front of Lekki Gate was a violation of the law. People should be able to be prosecuted for that. That, like I said, your right to swing your fist ends where my nose starts. So if I don't want to join your protest and I just want to go about my day, I should be allowed to. So let people know the areas where they can protest and let them go there and protest. People will follow the law. So make sure it is also a part of communication. If you want to protest in Oshodi, this is where you should go. If you want to protest in this place, this is where you should go. And so that you can prevent the chaos and the little, crisis actors, you can, pick them, nip them at the bud quickly, summarily arrest them and then release them later and all those things. But don't go frontal, don't bring out guns, don't go frontal against the protesters, because when you escalate it, when you bring violence to it, the people are already hungry and they are already angry and they can do and undo. You cannot predict what someone who is motivated by anger will do. So it is up to the security agencies to responsibly manage this protest and let them know where the protest permits are in each city and each state, and let people go there and express themselves peacefully, and then the administration can move on from it.
All right. Let's quickly look at the demands of these persons, the hashtag End Bad Governance in Nigeria protesters. One of it, the revert petroleum pump price to 100 naira per liter, combat insecurity and hunger, close all IDP camps and resettle the campers, total electoral reform, an independent probe into the electoral budget of 355 billion naira, immediate release of all EndSARS protesters still in detention, implementation of living wage. They are asking for 300K, but the government has gone ahead to adopt 70,000 naira, compulsory free education from primary to secondary school, education grants at tertiary level. Government must patronize made in Nigeria goods, transition to a unicameral legislature, judicial and constitutional reforms. What do you make of this?
Those are all a laundry list of, I think malarkey. A lot of it don't make sense. They can't work. And that is why you should have the conversation with them. How do you want the president to revert to 100 naira per liter? That means you want to sell 1 liter of oil for 10 cents, or what is that? I mean, I don't understand how they want that to be achieved. People who are processing it have to make money. Combat insecurity. Yes, you have to combat insecurity, but it takes time. It takes time. A lot of these things, to me, I believe restructuring will solve a lot of these problems that they are talking about. The electoral reform, all this review, unicameral, we have a system, we have a constitution that we have to go by. So you cannot just, by fiat, just cancel one arm of the government. So, and that is why they need to call these people, if they have a leader, I don't know, because this one seems organized right now, call them to terms, let them have this conversation, let them have this debate on TV, whoever is supporting these things, and let them show us, at least their stakeholders, to show us how they want the government to be able to achieve this. It is not enough for you to just leave out wishes out there. You have to tell us how, the iterations, how you are going to go from point A to point B. You must be able to bring that suggestion before you can bring that, drive. So let them have conversations, dialogue. More talk. That is the only way out of this. A lot of these things cannot be achieved. They are unrealistic, and they should have the conversation with them. When you have the conversation with them, they themselves will be dumbfounded, because they will not be able to explain it, how you want fuel to be sold for 10 cents or maybe 7.5 cents per liter. Yeah, because that is what 100 naira is right now. So let us have these conversations with them. Don't shy away from them. Talk to the people, and you will be able to convince the people by doing more talk, not just sitting down and, be fighting, blaming it on Peter Obi or something. I don't like Peter Obi personally, but you cannot blame this protest on him. Yes, you will try to, gain from it, to exploit it, but it is not on him, and you cannot blame it on him. So that is also another form of.
But do you think that there's a political undertone to this whole protest? Because that's another conversation that is being made around this whole matter.
You will say there is a political you can only, veritably and, evidently say there's a political undertone if there were no, righteous grounds to bribe. If they didn't have a righteous reason to go to the street. They have a righteous reason to go to the street. Food is expensive. They can't afford it. The minimum wage was so delayed. So you cannot go and be blaming it on political, whatever political undertone is there, because that will just look bad on you. It is bad optics. It will seem as if you are trying to eschew your own responsibility and blame it on your opponents. Like Nigerian people will say, your child does not go to school, but you want to blame his father's second wife. But he has not been going to class and he is failing. We cannot be doing that right now. Whatever political undertone is there, they are just trying to benefit. So ignore that one and face the real problem and solve it. Thank God they are allowing food to come in right now. We will see the prices of food starting to go down. They should extend it beyond the 150 days until our food can be competitive with the one that is imported. Then that importation will no longer be profitable, because dollar is expensive, our naira is cheap, our labor is cheap.
All right. That's a fine place to leave this conversation. Oludare Marindoti, convener, Social Rehabilitation, Grace and Support Initiative. Thank you for your time on the program.
Thank you for having me.